Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We have an exclusive. We are here in the danger room, and I know what you're thinking. It doesn't look very dangerous. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? That is a serious health code violation. That is truly the most dangerous thing I've seen in this room all day. I know who's responsible for this. It's Iceman. Pissing out this water everywhere. He doesn't clean up after himself, and he just leaves this. Now, you just imagine, like, Colossus is going to slip right on his ass. Wolverine's going to slip on his ass, and before you know it, there's going to be, where there's blame, there's a claim. And, there's, they just, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? Where's Iceman? Get in there. Right? You pissed around for the last time. Sort it out. Mop up. And before health and safety get on our backs, I'm going to have to deal with this myself. A lot better. And yes, if health and safety based jokes are your thing, then make sure that you're subscribed to my channel, RichTheMan, by hitting the subscribe button. I'm only kidding, that's probably the only time I'm going to interwork any kind of health and safety based jokes, if they are considered to be jokes. But you have a good time watching my channel, so hit the subscribe button. Yay. And the focus for this video is looking at what little leaked information we have about these two champions here, their source of powers from the comic books, and some little comic book history, so you know a little bit more about these champions. Omega Red and Emma Frost. Both champions were really surprisingly announced for the 20.0 release in September. So this is going to be really exciting, but let's learn a bit more about these champions, starting with Omega Red. Arkady Rossovich was a Russian mutant. Of course, his parents and his brother Vasily were scared of him even before he developed his mutation. Arkady's bloodthirst first manifested with the mutilation of animals and a disappearance of local beggars. Vasily ended up ratting on Arkady. He was captured by Interpol and Agent Banshee and turned over to the KGB, who wanted to create a super soldier, similar to Captain America. The end results of the experiments was Omega Red. The Soviet government implanted one retractable carbonadium tentacle within each of his arms. Carbonadium was the Soviets' attempt to recreate the artificial ally known as adamantium. It was a more malleable form of adamantium. He used them as weapons and as grappling appendages. He was able to wrap a victim in his coils to literally drain them of their life energy. The vampiric tendency was only essential to Omega Red's survival. The carbonadium implants, while great offensive weapons, slowly poisoned him, and he was required to regularly drain the life energy of a person, or perhaps take small amounts from larger numbers of individuals in order to temporarily sustain his immune system. Now, there's a lot more to Omega Red that meets the eye. If you did want to find out more about the character, you can go to the link in the description to take you to Marvel Wikia and find out more about this Russian monster of a mutant. Now, on to the abilities. As the matrix above suggests, he is a weak champion. No, that is not the case. In fact, he does look like he's a lot stronger than he is, especially with Death Factor and the whole kind of thing about adding on a poison. It gives that Archangel vibe that we have in game, and it has been seen in the footage that has been leaked for 20.0 and the trailer that is on Marvel Contest of Champions True Colors' page. So it is really exciting to see that negative effect applied, that debuff effect applied on the enemy, and it looks more than likely that that is indeed Death Factor without checking the information for the character when we get the data mined information. From the test footage, it's difficult to get an idea whether or not he is taking any kind of bad debuff effect for himself, as the character is made up of something that's killing him off slowly with the carbonadium. It does seem that that would be a good fit, but it would be quite a negative fit at the same time. It's like Bishop in game holding up all those prowess buffs and then slowly dying off based on reaching that certain point. Will that be the case? I haven't really seen it with those trailers, but it does look like there's going to be a poisonous based effect that is going to be applied on the enemy. So that's happy days. That's good. Less poison for you, more for them. Next up, life force absorption. This is a confirmed thing, as we've seen it in the trailers, that he is sucking the life force out of the enemy. That is pretty cool. It's like this kind of rogue type thing as well with, I'm sure there's other champions that do it with sucking the life force out, but rogue is the one that I could think of, the quickest one to think of. So yeah, really happy with this. It's done with the tentacles. Again, cool, those carbonadium tentacles are fantastic. And they may at the same time, while sucking up life, kind of put in a negative effect onto them, and that's how they balance out the poison thing. I don't know. It's hard to get an idea from from seeing trailers, but I'm quite excited for this champion in any case. On to the other abilities, and more than likely these are just like normal things. Can you compare them to something that's going to be put in the game? Likely not. But that's going to be the strongest two factors that we've seen, the death factor and as well the life stealing stuff. So that's going to be what you're looking to find when he's put into game, and that's the stuff that we definitely can confirm. If there's anything other than that, any kind of immunities of any kind, I doubt it, but there's going to be hopefully some cool synergies that come up. I expect something with Wolverine and Sabretooth, especially about a certain time in some very early comic book history where Omega Red was looking for something called a carbonadium synthesizer in order to improve his condition and allow him not so much of like the thirst of stealing life, and this was meant to kind of stop the carbonadium poisoning within his body. So that will be quite cool to see how that works out. I'm glad I've got a Sabretooth and I'm glad I've got a Wolverine, because that's going to be cool to see what synergies are going to come up from that. Yeah, happy for that. And I'm probably going to be a hypocrite and end up spending money to try and get him. Oh, but I got a Mutant Awakening gem, so if I get him once, then that could be good. So yeah, roll on losing my money. But also expect that the champion is going to be able to use those tentacles and use, you know, just standard abilities. He's been trained in the ways of martial arts and all that kind of stuff that is going to make, and as we've seen in the trailers, it's going to be a fun champion to use. Like I said, really excited about this. But now let's talk about a very odd mutant, and that is Silver Boobs McGee. Oh wait, no, it's Emma Frost. Yeah, for whatever reason she was called that for a time. Crazy. But let's learn a bit more. Emma Frost's telepathic abilities matured upon reaching puberty. Deemed unfit in her father's eyes, Emma produced low grade point averages and was socially outcasted while attending the Snow Valley School for Girls. As a result of her emerging powers, Emma also began to experience severe migraines. After being outcasted by her family, she found herself doing very dead-end jobs, and it did then lead her to certain types of crimes and people that didn't influence her in a positive way. At a later point, she found herself in the Essex Clinic, where she was drugged and kidnapped by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Magneto took her to Xavier's School for the Gifted Youngsters to use Cerebro and kill all humans, while bringing all mutants together. At a later point, Emma then viewed humans as being beneath mutants, and she began believing that there was no reason to practice restraint in using her powers. Emma inherited a good deal of wealth, but most of her large fortune was the result of her business successes. Emma rose rapidly through the world of business thanks to her intelligence, drive, personal charm, and her secret use of her psionic abilities. At some point, the Dark Beast met Emma and helped her rise to wealth and power. Emma Frost hasn't just been about the negative side to the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and her own personal gains and her own displeasure with humans. She has sided at times with the X-Men, and there's plenty of information about her comic book history in the link in the description below. Now, what of her powers? Well, she has a lot of powers. You would say that this is really down to telepathy, the kind of armor strength from the diamond conversion. There's so many things to talk about, but let's start with telepathy. She is Omega level. She's on the same class and caliber as, well, Charles Xavier, so that's pretty darn powerful. Now, her powers listed are very vast, and there's so many micro things. To a degree, what I have seen does let me lead to believe that Kabam have put something in-game which is really darn cool. And it looks like she does inverted controls for the enemies, which is just like, this is cool. Back to me of the Infinity War stuff, and we had to go up against Mr. Thanos, and yeah, it was pretty frustrating because you inverted the controls. We're gonna have to invert, it's like inverted controls for people. That may be a bit frustrating if you're facing off against it as a boss in Alliance Wars. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm sure the community are not happy with this, but I'm happy with the kind of source material going over this kind of mind control thing that telepathy has. So yeah, for me, from a source perspective, great. From going up against that, maybe a bit frustrating, unless you have to be open and it's like not blocked. So if you're blocked, do you retain that particular thing? Will it be unblockable? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see when this champion goes into the game. As well as building prowess, there's also a really strong concussion And whether or not that is going to be a big deal, it's yet to be seen, but it looks like it's a pretty cool thing. As well, obviously she goes into a diamond form, which increases armor. It's pretty cool and good to see. I'm sure Kabam aren't going to put an extensive amount of her powers in, but it does look like she gets a good chunk of them. Even to go as far as getting the second type of mutation that she has, and that is indeed that diamond form, increasing like armor strength and being really strong against enemies. So as an Alliance Wars defensive champion, she's going to be a bit of a nightmare, where maybe Omega Red will be more suited to be an offensive as opposed to a defensive champion. It does look fairly likely she's going to emit loads of energy-based blasts, and that is what we have seen in the footage. Now, that means that certain champions that are good against energy damage champions, so champions like, for example, off the top of my head, Bishop, that could be a good option against this particular champion. You know, energy's his bag, his thing. He likes to then shoot it back in big amounts. So there we have it, guys. That has been a video all about Omega Red and Emma Frost, looking at the comic book history, looking at the source material for abilities, and comparing against what we've seen. I think that this is going to be two great champions added in. Cannot wait for the crystals. Don't think my bank balance is going to be, but there you go. That's sometimes sod's law when two champions come about that you really like. I've got a 5-star generic. I've got a mutant, a 4-star awakening gem. Oh man, this could be my time. I say that each time and it probably isn't, but hey, you got to be in it to win it, as I always say. If you did enjoy this video about Omega Red and Emma Frost, then take the time to hit that like button and subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content. I've been RichTheMan, and I shall catch you all on the flip side. Bye bye for now. It's still there. I'll get you for this, Iceman.